What if the loudest battle you'll ever face is the one no one else can see? What if the person standing between your current self and your highest self is not the world, not your past, not anyone else, but you? Why do some days feel like a fight against your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own habits? Think of this. How many times have you talked yourself out of something great just because fear whispered louder than your courage? How often have you blamed others when deep down, you knew it was your own lack of control? There is a war that takes place silently within all of us. A war not of fists, but of choices. A war between reaction and restraint. Between weakness and will. Here's a simple truth. A man stands at a cliff's edge, the storm rising behind him. The wind howls, but he does not move. He does not shout. He does not panic. He controls his breath, his mind, his emotions. That is not silence. That is power. That is Stoicism. Welcome to Book Boost, a space where ancient wisdom meets real-life clarity. If you've ever felt that your emotions control you, or that you're constantly trying to prove something to the world, this video will shift that energy inward. We don't chase validation here. We build strength. We invite you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to join this journey toward mastering the one person you must face every day, yourself. Please drop down your one thought on believe in yourself in the comments. Your words might just help someone who's quietly fighting their own war. The Stoics believe that self-mastery is the highest victory. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This is not about being emotionless. It is about not letting emotions decide who you are. True power lies not in controlling the world, but in mastering your reactions to it. In this video, we will dive into how a Stoic navigates the chaos of life with calm, with reason, and with strength. Because in the end, it is not you versus the world. It is you versus you. And once you win that battle, nothing else can defeat you. Let us speak not of kingdoms or empires today, but of the quiet prison that most never see. The prison of an unmastered mind. This prison is not built of stones or steel, but of thoughts we never question, emotions we never challenge, and reactions we allow to rule us. A man may walk freely under the open sky, yet be more trapped than the one behind bars, if he has never taken command of his own mind. From the moment we wake, our thoughts begin to pull us in different directions. One part of us wants peace, discipline, and progress. Another part whispers doubt, comfort, and fear. The struggle begins before the day even starts. We are at war with no external enemy. We are at war with our habits, our impulses, our assumptions. And it is this war that defines who we truly are. The Stoics taught that the mind must be trained, like a muscle, like a blade. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Yet most of us try to change the outside world, hoping it will bring us peace. We rearrange our environment, our relationships, even our dreams, never realizing that peace was always an inner practice, not an external reward. We chase what we think will fix us. We chase comfort, praise, approval. But these things do not free us. They bind us deeper. For every time you act to please the world instead of staying loyal to your principles, a chain is added. For every time you react with anger when calm would have served you better, the shackles grow tighter. The unmastered mind becomes your jailer. It dictates your actions before you even notice. Think for a moment. How many choices have you made simply because you feared judgment? How many things have you said out of rage, only to regret them in silence later? These are not accidents. They are symptoms. Symptoms of a mind that has not yet been tamed. The untrained mind does not serve you. It enslaves you. Seneca, another Stoic master, once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." But adversity is not always outside us. Often, the deepest adversity is internal. It is the sudden surge of envy when someone else succeeds. It is the tightness in the chest when criticism comes. It is the panic that arrives in moments of stillness. These are not enemies to run from. These are opportunities to rise. The Stoic does not silence his thoughts by force. He watches them. He learns their patterns. He does not deny his anger. He asks it questions. Why are you here? What do you serve? He does not bury his sadness. He studies it. Because only when you bring light into the darkest parts of the mind can they be understood. and only what is understood can be mastered. Freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is doing what is right, even when every part of you is pulling in another direction. Freedom is saying no to what weakens you, even if it feels easier. Freedom is acting with reason when emotion screams louder. And this freedom can only come when the mind is no longer your master, but your servant. You may look around and see others who seem strong, but do not be fooled by appearances. A calm voice does not always mean a calm soul. A loud laugh does not always mean joy. True strength is silent. It is built in the unseen moments. In the decision to rise early when comfort says sleep. In the moment you forgive when pride says punish. In the breath you take before speaking when anger wants control. To train the mind is to train for life itself. Because every moment, every decision, every reaction, these are shaped not by what happens to you, but by the quality of your mind when it happens. The Stoic way is not about pretending you feel nothing. It is about feeling everything and still choosing the higher path. There is a kind of power in self-control that no title or wealth can match. The one who rules his mind needs no approval, no reward. His reward is peace. Not the peace of ignorance, but the peace earned from mastery. A peace that cannot be shaken by insult, delay, or failure. Because that peace is not built on outside conditions. It is built on inner discipline. Let us not forget, the mind is the lens through which we see all of life. A dirty lens distorts everything. But the one who cleans that lens, who clears the fog of jealousy, fear, anger, and pride, he begins to see life as it truly is. And in that clarity, he finds wisdom. So, ask yourself, are your thoughts helping you grow, or are they keeping you trapped? Are your reactions aligned with your values, or are they inherited patterns you never questioned? The unmastered mind wants ease, not excellence. But we are not here to live easy. We are here to live well, to choose the harder right over the easier wrong. This is the quiet path, the difficult path, the Stoic path. It does not promise comfort, but it offers something greater, freedom from the chaos within. And once that is earned, there is nothing outside you that can break you. For the enemy has already been faced and defeated within. When a person is provoked, when insulted, when misunderstood or disrespected, what is the first urge that rises within? Anger, retaliation, the need to speak back, act back, or defend one's pride. But the Stoic knows this is not strength. True strength lies in the ability to pause, to restrain oneself in the heat of the moment, to hold the sword when the hand trembles to strike. This is the kind of strength that cannot be seen on the outside. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't receive validation. It is the quiet refusal to let another's chaos become your own. It is the deep breath when the storm inside you starts to rise. The Stoic trains himself daily for this moment. Not for glory, not for recognition, but because the peace of a controlled mind is more valuable than the satisfaction of a quick reaction. We live in a world that tells us to express everything. Speak your mind. Defend your ego. Prove your worth. But Stoicism whispers a different truth. The more power you give to your impulses, the more power you lose over your life. Restraint is not suppression. It is selection. It is choosing which emotions deserve your energy and which do not. Most do not. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire and yet battled with the same inner storms, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is the heart of restraint. You do not become weak by not reacting. You become indestructible, because when you no longer give others the power to shake your inner ground, they cannot take anything from you. The Stoic is not emotionless. He feels everything: anger, sadness, frustration, joy. But he does not act on every feeling. He allows the emotion to pass through, not take control. This takes immense strength. It is much easier to shout back than to remain silent. Much easier to seek revenge than to walk away. But every time you choose the harder path, you strengthen a part of yourself that can never be broken. In modern life, restraint looks like walking away from an argument that will lead nowhere. It looks like letting go of the need to win every debate. It's the ability to watch your thoughts, observe your emotions, and respond with wisdom, not instinct. It's knowing that your reaction is your responsibility. No one else can own that but you. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." for he is not permitted to prove himself. Restraint is how we prove ourselves, not to others, but to the self we are building in silence. Every day, life throws tests at us. People may challenge us, circumstances may pressure us, emotions may rise. But the Stoic stands firm, not because he doesn't feel, but because he chooses not to be ruled by what he feels. There is a deep power in the person who has nothing to prove, who knows what he stands for, who does not trade his peace for petty conflicts. The Stoic knows that every unnecessary reaction is a leak of personal energy, and energy is sacred. Once spent on the wrong things, it's gone. So we preserve it, we direct it, we discipline it. We are taught to admire the loud, the bold, the aggressive. But there is something far more admirable in the one who could explode, but doesn't. The one who could crush with words, but chooses silence. The one who could give in, but chooses to hold the line. This is not weakness. This is restraint. And it is one of the highest forms of power a human can reach. Think of restraint as a muscle. Every time you use it, it gets stronger. At first, it may feel like suppression, but slowly, it becomes wisdom. The ability to act only when necessary. To speak only when it serves peace or truth. To walk away from battles that do not deserve you. Not because you're afraid, but because your energy is not free for waste. The world may misunderstand this. It may think you're cold, distant, passive, but the Stoic doesn't act to be understood. He acts to be aligned with his principles, with nature, with inner peace. He doesn't need the world to agree with his silence, because he understands its purpose. Restraint is also about protecting your time, your mental space, your goals. Every time you allow anger or distraction to take over, you drift from the path. And the Stoic's path is narrow. It demands attention. It demands presence. It demands the kind of discipline that most will never see, but you will feel deeply. This strength also helps in healing. Sometimes, the greatest restraint is not just in speech, but in thought. We restrain ourselves from feeding old wounds with fresh emotions. We don't dwell. We don't replay what we cannot change. We choose what to water in the garden of our mind. And if we water pain, it grows. But if we water purpose, healing, discipline, it transforms us. We must remember, power is not in domination. Power is in mastery. Mastery of thought, of speech, of action. Every time we hold back from useless conflict, we rise. Every time we breathe instead of bursting, we win. Every time we walk away from the shallow to protect the deep, we grow. So, we train for this daily. In small moments. When someone cuts in line. When a message triggers us. When a plan fails. When an insult is thrown. These are the real arenas. These are the real tests. And we are either reactive slaves to the world or sovereigns of our soul. There is no middle. The Stoic does not seek to win arguments. He seeks to win the self. And that begins with restraint. Not because it is easy, but because it is right. Let the world rage. Let the noise rise. Let others run wild with emotion. We will stand, still, clear, and unmoved. For that is our strength. And no one can take it from us. There is a kind of strength that never shouts, never boasts, and never seeks to prove itself to others. It does not depend on praise, nor does it wither under criticism. This strength lives quietly in the person who has trained themselves to remain still while the world shakes around them. This is not the strength of the body, but of the soul. It is the victory that belongs to the unshaken. You do not need to raise your voice to prove your point. You do not need to win arguments to show your worth. The Stoics taught us that inner peace is the greatest power, and it cannot be disturbed unless you allow it. A man who has mastered himself cannot be mastered by anyone else. When you reach that state, where your mind no longer reacts to every disturbance, you begin to see how much of life was noise, and how little of it truly matters. Most people are busy reacting. Someone says something cruel, and they reply twice as cruel. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and they boil with rage. Someone doubts them, and they exhaust themselves trying to prove otherwise. But what if you didn't react at all? What if you simply observed, understood, and moved forward? That is what it means to be unshaken. Not cold, not indifferent, but steady, reasonable, focused. Seneca said, "You may bind my body, but my mind will remain free." This is the Stoic way, to protect the one thing that no one can ever steal from you, your judgment, your response, your will. Even when everything else is stripped away, you still have the power to choose your attitude. That is where true freedom lives. So, how do we become unshaken? It begins with understanding that most suffering is self-created. Anger, fear, jealousy, regret. These emotions are not forced upon you by others. They arise because you allow them space inside your mind. A Stoic is not immune to these feelings, but he does not feed them. He observes them, understands them, and lets them pass. Like clouds across the sky, they come and go, but the sky remains. Every moment gives you a choice. Will you act based on impulse or on reason? Will you follow your lower nature or your higher self? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That sentence alone is enough to change a life. Most people try to control what cannot be controlled: the opinions of others, the actions of strangers, the course of events. But the Stoic turns inward. He asks, what part of this can I command? And then he places his energy only there. Imagine walking through a storm, and instead of running or panicking, you walk steadily forward, eyes calm, breath measured. Others may scream, complain, or retreat, but you move like stone. That image, that is what it means to be victorious without noise, to fight without fury, to win without applause. This is the silent triumph of the Stoic. But becoming that person takes time. It takes failure. You will fall. You will react. You will lose control. And yet, each time you rise again, each time you reflect and return to your path, you grow stronger. Fortitude is not built in comfort. It is forged in difficulty. The Stoic does not curse hardship. He welcomes it, for he knows that without storms, he would never know how deep his roots run. Think about the last time you got angry. Ask yourself, was it useful? Did it solve the problem? Or did it only make you feel worse, lose time, lose peace? Now think about what might have happened if you had paused, if you had breathed, waited, watched, if you had remained still. That stillness, that brief space between stimulus and response, is where all your power lives. Master that space, and you master yourself. The world will never be without chaos. People will always offend, misjudge, disappoint. Life will always carry suffering, loss, and the unknown. But the question is not whether these things will happen. The question is, how will you meet them? With fire in your heart, or calm in your mind? Will you let the world decide your mood? Or will you decide how to show up, regardless of the world? There is a kind of dignity that comes from restraint. When you choose not to argue, when you walk away from drama, when you smile at insult, not out of pride, but out of wisdom. You are not weak. You are wise. You know that feeding negativity only makes it grow. You know that silence often says more than 1,000 loud words. You know that self-control is not repression, it is liberation. Some may think this way of living is boring, that to not react is to not feel. But they misunderstand. The Stoic feels deeply, but chooses not to be ruled by feelings. He has emotions, but emotions do not have him. His heart is full, but his mind is steady. That is the highest form of freedom. Not being empty of feeling, but being full of understanding. Think of a candle in the wind. If it flickers with every gust, it goes out. But if it's protected, if it's sheltered, focused, it keeps burning, no matter what. That flame is your inner discipline, your reason, your clarity. The world may shake, but your flame stays. This is not the way of the weak. It is the way of the brave. Because it is far easier to yell than to stay silent. Far easier to hit back than to walk away. Far easier to complain than to accept. But each time you choose the harder path, you train the muscle of the soul. You become something more, something unshakable. You versus you. That is the only battle that matters. Will you choose ease, or will you choose growth? Will you let your emotions guide your life, or will you take the reins? The Stoic chooses the long road, the quiet road, the strong road. And when he walks it long enough, he no longer needs to win. He becomes the victory. In the end, true power is not found in controlling others. It is found in not needing to. It is found in the still mind, the calm breath, the firm step. It is found in the man who stands in fire and does not flinch. That man, my friend, is not afraid of storms. He has become one.